The morning sun streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Palmer Technologies' executive floor as I watched my sister Alexandra strut into my office, flanked by two security guards. Her designer heels clicked against the marble floor, each step radiating the satisfaction of someone who thought they'd just won everything. "The board meeting just concluded," she announced, her red lips curving into a triumphant smile. "Effective immediately, I'm the new CEO of Palmer Technologies. My name is Catherine Palmer, and at 35, had spent the last decade building Palmer Technologies from a small startup into a billion-dollar empire. While Alexandra had been jet-setting around Europe, finding herself on our family's money, I'd been working 80-hour weeks, sacrificing everything to make this company successful." I kept my expression neutral as I studied her face, seeing the same calculating look I remember from our childhood when she'd take credit for my achievements. "The board voted unanimously," she continued, clearly disappointed by my lack of reaction. "They agreed the company needs fresh leadership." Fresh leadership. That's what she called secretly meeting with board members for months, undermining my decisions, and orchestrating my removal. I had known this was coming. The whispered conversations that stopped when I entered rooms, the sudden cancellations of long-standing lunch meetings, the way certain board members couldn't quite meet my eyes anymore. "Here," she said, sliding a cardboard box across my desk. "Security will escort you out once you've packed your personal items. We wouldn't want anything important to go missing." I stood slowly, smoothing my skirt. "Of course, I'll need about an hour." Alexandra's perfectly manicured nails drummed against my desk, my former desk. "You have 30 minutes, and I'll need your company phone and laptop." As I began carefully placing my belongings in the box, my mind drifted to 6 months ago, when I first noticed the signs of her betrayal. It was our mother's anniversary dinner, of all places. Alexandra had been unusually interested in the company's operations, asking detailed questions about our newest technology division and our upcoming board meeting schedule. I should have known then what she was planning, but part of me had hoped, foolishly perhaps, that my own sister wouldn't try to destroy everything I built. 20 minutes left. Alexandra called from the doorway where she was supervising the security guards. "Oh, and I'm having the locks changed on your private lab. Can't have you accessing any sensitive projects." My private lab. The place where I'd spent countless nights developing the technology that had put Palmer Technologies on the map. The same lab where, 3 months ago, I'd made the discovery that would change everything. I carefully wrapped my coffee mug in tissue paper, remembering the night I'd realized what Alexandra was planning. It was after a particularly tense board meeting where she questioned every decision I'd made in the past quarter. I'd stayed late, reviewing security footage, and discovered she'd been meeting with board members privately for weeks. That night, I'd made 2 calls. The first was to my lawyer, James Chen. The second was to Dr. Sarah Martinez, my head of research and development. Both calls set in motion plans that Alexandra had no idea existed. 10 minutes, Alexandra said, checking her watch. "Though there can't be much worth keeping. It's not like you ever had a life outside this office." I placed the last photo frame in my box, a picture of our father on the day he handed the company over to me. He believed in me, trusted me to take his small tech firm and turn it into something extraordinary. Alexandra had been furious when he passed her over for the position. "You'll run it into the ground," she'd said then. "You always were his favorite." But Dad had known what he was doing. He'd seen my dedication, my vision for the company's future. What would he think now, seeing Alexandra steal it all away? "Time's up," Alexandra announced. "The security team will escort you out." I picked up my box, meeting her gaze one last time. "Congratulations on your new position, Alexandra. I hope you're ready for everything that comes with it." She frowned slightly, perhaps catching something in my tone. "What's that supposed to mean?" I smiled, adjusting my grip on the box. "Just that being CEO involves a lot of responsibility. The board will be expecting results." "Are you threatening me?" she asked, her voice sharp. "Not at all. Just offering sisterly advice." I turned to the security guards. "Shall we?" As we walked through the office, past the stunned faces of employees I'd worked with for years, I kept my head high. Let them see me walk out with dignity. Let Alexandra have her moment of triumph. Because in exactly 24 hours, everything would change. The elevator ride down was silent, heavy with the weight of what had just happened. As we reached the lobby, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the polished marble walls. I looked calm, composed, nothing like someone who just lost their company. Outside, the morning air was crisp, carrying the promise of autumn. My driver, Thomas, was waiting with the car, his face carefully blank as he opened the door for me. "Home, Miss Palmer?" he asked quietly. "No," I replied, settling into the back seat. "Take me to the Milton Hotel. I have a meeting to prepare for." As we pulled away from the curb, I watched Palmer Technologies shrink in the rearview mirror, the building I practically lived in for the past decade, where I poured my heart and soul into every decision, every innovation. Alexandra thought she'd won. She thought that with the board's support and our father's shares that she'd inherited, she was untouchable. She had no idea that 3 months ago, when I first confirmed her plans, I put something in motion that would change everything. I pulled out my phone, my personal phone, not the company one Alexandra had demanded, and sent a single text to James Chen. "It's done. Proceed with phase 2. His response came immediately. "Everything's ready. Meeting set for 9 a.m. tomorrow." I leaned back against the leather seat, allowing myself a small smile. Alexandra had always been good at games, at manipulating people to get what she wanted. But she'd forgotten one crucial thing about me. I learned from the best, our father, and he taught me to always have a backup plan. The Milton Hotel's executive suite had been my home away from home for the past month, ever since I'd moved my most important documents and research out of the office. Alexandra probably thought she was being clever, demanding access to my private lab. She had no idea that everything of value had already been relocated. As I set my box of office belongings on the suite's dining table, my phone buzzed with a text from Dr. Martinez. "Team assembled and ready. All data secured." Good. Sarah had been instrumental in helping me prepare for this day. As my head of R&D, she'd seen firsthand how Alexandra had tried to undermine our latest projects. She'd also been the one to help me document everything. I walked to the window, looking out over the city I'd helped shape through Palmer Technologies' innovations. In the distance, I could see our company's logo illuminated against the morning sky. By this time tomorrow, that logo might mean something very different. A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. It was James Chen, my lawyer, carrying a thick manila envelope. "Everything's prepared," he said without preamble, spreading documents across the table. "The patent applications were approved last week. We can move forward whenever you're ready." I picked up one of the papers, scanning the technical specifications I knew by heart. 3 months ago, in my private lab, I'd made a breakthrough that would revolutionize quantum computing. It was the kind of discovery that comes once in a lifetime, and I kept it completely off Palmer Technologies' books. "Alexandra has no idea this exists?" James asked, though he already knew the answer. I shook my head. "No one does, except for Sarah's core team. We developed it independently, using private funding. It has nothing to do with Palmer Technologies." James smiled grimly. "The board is going to regret their decision when they realize they just lost exclusive rights to the biggest technological advancement of the decade." "They're going to regret a lot of things," I said quietly, remembering Alexandra's smug expression as she'd handed me that cardboard box. "But first, we need to make some calls." The next few hours were a blur of phone calls and meetings. I spoke with potential investors who'd been waiting in the wings, tech journalists who'd been carefully cultivated over the past months, and key employees who needed to know their roles and what was coming. By evening, exhaustion had set in, but I couldn't rest. Not yet. I ordered room service and tried to eat while reviewing the final details of tomorrow's presentation. My phone buzzed, a news alert. Alexandra had already given her first interview as CEO, talking about her fresh vision for Palmer Technologies and how she planned to modernize the company's approach. I clicked the video off halfway through, unable to stomach her practiced smile and rehearsed answers. She'd always been good at presenting herself to the public, at playing whatever role was required. But running a technology company required more than just good PR. Another knock at the door. This time it was Sarah Martinez, looking as tired as I felt. "The team's ready," she said, dropping into one of the suite's armchairs. "Everyone knows their parts." "But Catherine, are you sure about this? Once we move forward, there's no going back." I looked at the woman who'd been not just my head of R&D, but my friend through all of this. "Alexandra made her choice," I said firmly. "She chose to betray me, to steal what I built. Now she'll face the consequences. Sarah nodded slowly. It's just, she's still your sister. No, I replied, turning back to the window where Palmer Technologies' logo still glowed in the distance. She stopped being my sister the moment she decided to destroy everything I've worked for. As night fell over the city, I thought about all the moments that had led to this. Growing up in our father's shadow, both of us competing for his attention. Alexandra's resentment when he chose me to lead the company. The years of snide comments and subtle undermining. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tomorrow, Alexandra would learn that she hadn't just stolen a company, she'd started a war. And I was ready to fight. The next morning dawned bright and clear, the kind of perfect autumn day that usually energized me. I stood in front of the mirror in my hotel suite, adjusting my navy blazer and checking my appearance one final time. Everything had to be perfect today. My phone buzzed with a text from Alexandra. Settling into your office. The view is so much better from the CEO's chair. Hope you're not taking this too hard, sis. I smiled at her attempt to provoke me. In a few hours, that chair wouldn't feel quite so comfortable. The conference room at the Ritz-Carlton was already buzzing when I arrived. Tech journalists from every major publication filled the seats, their anticipation palpable. They'd all received the same cryptic invitation, former Palmer Technologies CEO Catherine Palmer to make groundbreaking announcement. James Chen met me at the door, tablet in hand. Everyone's here, he said quietly, including 3 Palmer Technologies board members. I raised an eyebrow. Let me guess. Thompson, Rivera, and Chen. He nodded. The ones who voted against Alexandra but were outnumbered. They're curious about what you're planning. And Alexandra. Still at the office, according to our sources. She has no idea this is happening. Perfect. I checked my watch, 8:57 a.m. In 3 minutes, the live stream would begin, broadcasting this announcement to every major tech outlet and, more importantly, to every screen in Palmer Technologies headquarters. Sarah appeared at my elbow, looking sharp in her business attire. The demo is ready, she said. Team standing by. I took a deep breath, squaring my shoulders. Let's begin. The lights dimmed as I walked to the podium, camera flashes creating a constellation of light. I could feel the energy in the room, the anticipation of something big. Good morning, I began, my voice clear and steady. Thank you all for coming on such short notice. Yesterday, as many of you know, I was removed as CEO of Palmer Technologies in what was described as a leadership transition. Cameras clicked rapidly as I continued. What you don't know is that 3 months ago, I made a discovery that will revolutionize the field of quantum computing. A discovery that wasn't developed under Palmer Technologies, but independently through my own research and private funding. The room grew absolutely silent. I clicked the remote, and behind me, the screen came to life with technical specifications and test results. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Q-Core processor, the first truly stable quantum computing chip, capable of performing calculations that would take traditional supercomputers centuries to complete. The silence exploded into chaos as reporters began shouting questions. I held up my hand, waiting for quiet. This technology represents a leap forward that will transform everything from medical research to climate modeling. And I'm here to announce the formation of a new company, Quantum Dynamics, which will bring this technology to market. I paused, letting the news sink in. I'm also pleased to announce that we secured series of funding of $500 million from a consortium of investors, and that Dr. Sarah Martinez, formerly of Palmer Technologies, will be joining as our Chief Technology Officer, along with her entire research team. The room erupted again. From the corner of my eye, I could see the Palmer Technologies board members huddled together, their faces pale with realization. Then my phone buzzed. Alexandra. I ignored it, continuing with my presentation. Her messages kept coming, growing increasingly frantic. What the hell are you doing? Stop this immediately. You can't take that technology. It belongs to Palmer Technologies. Answer your damn phone. But she was wrong. The technology was mine, developed independently and carefully documented. The patents were in my name, not the company's. And now Palmer Technologies stock was about to take a devastating hit. I clicked to the next slide, showing our projected market impact. Initial testing suggests the Q-Core processor is at least 1,000 times faster than current quantum computing solutions. We expect to begin production within 6 months. More questions flew at me, but one cut through the chaos. Ms. Palmer, was this planned before your removal as CEO? I smiled, thinking of Alexandra's smug face yesterday. Let's just say I believe in being prepared. Now, I'd like to introduce our technical team for a detailed demonstration. The presentation continued for another hour. By the time it was over, Palmer Technologies stock had dropped 30% in pre-market trading. Alexandra had called 17 times. As the room cleared out, James handed me his tablet, showing a live feed of Palmer Technologies' lobby. Employees were gathered around every screen, watching the replay of my announcement. In the executive suite, Alexandra was reportedly in an emergency board meeting. While Sarah said, joining us with a satisfied smile, that went well. It's not over yet, I replied, checking my phone. Alexandra won't go down without a fight. Right on cue, my phone rang again. But this time it wasn't Alexandra, it was our father. Catherine, he said when I answered, his voice heavy with emotion. I saw the announcement. Dad, No, let me finish, he interrupted. I always knew you were brilliant, but this is beyond anything I imagined. You didn't just prepare for Alexandra's betrayal, you used it as an opportunity to launch something revolutionary. I felt tears pricking at my eyes. I learned from the best. He chuckled. Yes, well, I never managed anything quite like this. Listen, Catherine, I know things have been difficult with Alexandra. But what she did, taking the company like that, I want you to know I had no idea she was planning it. I know, Dad. The board is in chaos, he continued. Half of them are threatening to resign. Alexandra is, well, she's not handling it well. Just then, the hotel's conference room doors burst open and Alexandra stormed in, her face flushed with anger. How dare you? She shouted, stalking toward me. You planned us all along. Dad, I have to go, I said quietly. Alexandra's here. Be careful, he replied before hanging up. I turned to face my sister, noting how her perfectly styled hair was now slightly disheveled, her designer outfit wrinkled from rushing over. Alexandra, I said calmly, shouldn't you be in a board meeting? You vindictive bitch, she hissed. You let me take over the company knowing you had this technology in your back pocket. You set me up. I met her gaze steadily. No, Alexandra, you set yourself up. You were so focused on taking what was mine that you never stopped to think about what I might create on my own. The board will never believe you developed this independently, she said, but I could hear the uncertainty in her voice. Every step is documented, I replied. Every test, every trial, all funded privately. Sarah's team can verify everything. Face it, Alexandra. You won the battle for Palmer Technologies, but you lost the war. She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. We're sisters. We're supposed to be family. Family? I laughed bitterly. You stopped being family the moment you decided to steal everything I built. But don't worry, you got what you wanted. You're the CEO of Palmer Technologies. I suggest you focus on that, because by market close today, you'll have a lot of angry shareholders to answer to. Her face crumpled, and for a moment I saw a flash of the little sister I used to know. The one who would crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. The one I'd helped with her science fair projects. But that sister was gone, replaced by someone whose ambition had consumed everything else. You've destroyed me, she whispered. No, I corrected her gently. You did that yourself. As security escorted her out, my security team now, not Palmer Technologies, I felt a strange mix of triumph and sadness. This wasn't how I'd wanted things to end with my sister, but she'd made her choices. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. Quantum Dynamics' announcement sent shockwaves through the tech industry. Our investor list grew, and talent from around the world began reaching out, wanting to be part of what we were building. Palmer Technologies' stock continued to fall as key employees resigned to join my new venture. Alexandra managed to hold onto her position as CEO, but the board's confidence in her was shattered. The company that had been my life's work was struggling, and part of me grieved for that. But Quantum Dynamics was growing faster than I'd imagined possible. We secured a headquarters building downtown, ironically, with a perfect view of Palmer Technologies' tower. Sarah's team was expanding, and early tests of the Q-Core processor were exceeding even our optimistic projections. 3 months after the announcement, I sat in my new office, looking out at the city skyline. My phone buzzed with a text from Alexandra, the first contact since that day in the hotel. I understand now what it means to build something, to have a vision. I'm sorry, Catherine, for everything. I stared at the message for a long time, remembering the sister I used to know, wondering if she was still in there somewhere. Finally, I typed back. I hope you learn from this, Alexandra. Success isn't about taking what others have built. It's about creating something of your own. She didn't respond, but I hadn't expected her to. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. But as I turned back to my work, to the future I was building with quantum dynamics, I felt at peace. Alexandra had taught me a valuable lesson. Sometimes losing everything you've built forces you to build something better. She thought she was destroying me, but instead she pushed me to create something revolutionary. As the sun set over the city, casting long shadows between the buildings, I smiled. The cardboard box she'd handed me yesterday felt like a lifetime ago. She'd meant it as an ending, but instead, it had been a beginning. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about rising from the ashes of their betrayal to build something they never imagined possible. And I was just getting started.